there.
Hey, Kate. Wow. Katie, are you alright? What happened?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm all right, though. I couldn't seem to... I think I tripped on my feet.
Well, careful. We've got a whole store to get through still.
Yeah, I'll be fine. Don't worry about...
Katie! What did I just say about being careful?
Oh, I know. Sorry, Coco. For some reason, I just can't seem to stay on my feet.
Katie! Are you sure you're going to be alright to tell a story?
Yeah, I think I'll be alright if I'll just keep getting up every time. If my friend can do it, so can I.
This sounds like an interesting friend, kids. Whatever you say, Katie.
Good. Then let's go.
Come and play with Katie and Coco. That's the way. Get ready, let's go. Flying through the air with Coco, telling stories with Katie. You and I together, meeting my friends that help us every day. Katie and Coco, play and sing, pray and bring. You and I, we do our thing as Katie and Coco.
You sure you're okay, Katie?
I've got this.
Yeah, Katie. So I'm guessing your friend fell down a lot.
All the time.
Why? Could he not walk properly or something?
Oh no, he didn't literally fall on the ground all the time. It just felt like it because no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't seem to stop doing something that wasn't good for him.
That doesn't sound good. What's his name?
Saint Mark Ji Tianxiang. He lived in China almost 200 years ago. And during the beginning of his life, there was no sign of the struggle that he would have to endure for most of his life. He grew up in a Christian family, he got married and began his own family. He became a doctor and would go around to all the poor people in his community and give them medical treatment for free.
For free? What a nice man. He must really have loved God to have such a generous heart towards the poor. How could anything possibly go wrong with him?
It does seem strange, doesn't it? Just when we think things are going well, and even when we were doing good things that please God, new trials are given to us that we have to overcome. And Mark Ji's trial was nothing small. He spent the rest of his life fighting to get the better of it.
What happened to him, Katie? It must have been terrible.
It began when he became seriously sick in his stomach. And because he was a doctor, he gave himself treatment with something called opium.
What's that?
Opium is a type of drug that used to be used as a form of medicine because it relieved pain. The bad thing, though, was that it had a certain effect on people that made them addicted to it. So, once someone started taking opium, their body kept wanting more and more, or else they would get very sick.
Oh no! So did Mark become addicted then?
Yes, he mustn't have realized how dangerous it was to use to treat his sickness. And by the time he did realize, it was already too late. The opium had control of his body, which kept demanding more and more.
Did he try to get help?
Oh, Coco, he begged for help. He hated being a slave to the terrible drug. And he thought that it was somehow his own fault that he couldn't simply stop taking it and return to normal. Again and again and again, he went to the priest for confession. And again and again and again and again. He would confess that he had taken more opium, even though he had resolved never to make the same mistake the last time he went to confession. Maybe you kids have had the same kind of frustration. You might have a habit of saying some unkind things sometimes. Or maybe you get really angry about things that don't really matter as much as it seems like at the moment. When you think back on whatever it is that you did wrong, you feel terrible, don't you? And you say to yourself that from now on, you're going to be kind to everyone. You're going to be calm, patient, helpful, generous. But then a little later, something happens and you make the same mistake again.
Yep, I definitely know that feeling. I can't remember how many times I've told myself never going to post again. Too many.
Even when we try to learn something, it can be difficult. Whether it's schoolwork, catching or kicking a ball, learning a musical instrument, learning a dance, training for a sport.
Learning how to fly.
Yep. Whenever we're trying to succeed something, most of the time we fail first about a gazillion times before we finally get it right. And it's hard not to give up when we keep messing up over and over again. It's so annoying, isn't it? Well, imagine that frustration you felt and times it by 1,000, and you might get some idea of how our poor friend Mark Ji felt.
Ah, Katie, I only want to imagine that. It sounds like torture. I think I'd rather listen to my grandma Bobby sing. And believe me, that is torture. Oh, my ears hurt just thinking about it.
Well, remind me never to let your grandma Poppy sing to me.
Unless you want me to do some serious penance, Katie. I wouldn't recommend it. Trust me.
Okay, Coco, we don't want to upset Grandma Poppy too much.
Yeah, tell me more about St. Mark Ji before her voice gets stuck in my head and I can't get it out and I get a headache. How did he stop taking back drugs in the end?
He didn't.
That's good. Why, what? Did you say he didn't? He never stopped taking them?
Never.
But I thought you said he never gave up and he kept getting up every time he fell.
And he never did give up. If he gave up, Coco, do you think he would have kept coming back to church and to confession?
I guess not.
He hated his addiction. But even though it had control over his body, he wouldn't let it gain control over his mind and especially his spirit. He knew that God still loved him, and somehow he just couldn't let go of his own love for God. But unfortunately, things got even worse.
Worse? You coconuts? How could things get any worse?
Back then, people didn't know a lot about drugs and how they affect people. So when people like Mark Ji got addicted, other people thought they were just too lazy and uncontrolled to be able to give it up. In Mark Ji's case, that meant that when he kept coming back to confession saying the same thing, the priest eventually became convinced that Mark wasn't truly sorry for continuing to use the drug. So our friend was told that until he stopped taking the opium altogether, he couldn't receive Jesus in Holy Communion and Mass or come to confession.
Oh no, but you said he never gave up that drug. That means he wasn't allowed those things for the rest of his life, right?
That's right. Now, by this point, you'd think that most people would probably give up and turn against God for letting so many terrible things happening, right? Not St. Mark Ji. He didn't hate God for giving him such a hard time. He thanked God for this big challenge and was determined to prove that he still loved God no matter what. So, even though he wasn't allowed to receive Holy Communion, he still came to Mass to pray. And do you know what was his most important prayer?
What?
He prayed that if he couldn't overcome his addiction, God would grant him the grace of a martyr's death. He wanted to die for Jesus, since he was robbed of the chance to fully live for Jesus.
Wow, Mark Ji was very brave, Katie. Did he get to die for Jesus in the end?
After 30 years of praying, fighting his addiction, trying to support his family, and going to Mass without receiving Jesus, yes, he was finally given the ultimate chance to prove that he still loved God despite his difficulties. He knew God would not let all his suffering go to waste. And the final reward Mark Ji was given for his faith was far greater than the relief of being freed from his addiction. His final reward was home in heaven.
He definitely deserved it. How did he die, Katie?
All his life, Mark Ji had lived a relatively peaceful life as a Christian in China. But eventually, there came a time where Christians were hated by a particular political group. Mark Ji was captured along with his family and other Christians in his village. They were given two options: to give up their faith or to die.
His family was taken too.
Grandpa, where are we going?
Would you kids have been scared too?
We are going home, my son.
Lucky Mark Ji was there to comfort his grandkids.
He was right by their side until the end, Coco. When he was given the chance either to die or give up his faith, he didn't even have to consider his decision. He chose to die, knowing that very soon he would enter into a life more real and happy than any life he could have lived on earth. But he asked the soldiers for him to be the last to die. That way, none of his family would have to die alone. And when it finally came for his turn to be killed, he welcomed his new life while singing the litany of his blessed Mother Mary, who he was about to meet. Mary must have been so happy to finally welcome him into her arms and give him to Jesus, whom Mark Ji had missed so much.
Ah, phew! I've been waiting a long time for a happy ending to St. Mark Ji's story. Coco Raisin!
Imagine how long Mark Ji himself had to wait. But he knew it was worth it in the end. Let's ask him to help us love God as much as he did. Dear St. Mark Ji, thank you for trusting in God's love, even when you seem to have lost hope in yourself. Help us to never give up, even when we fail, and to always be thankful for the freedoms we have that you had to live so long without.
Don't fall down!
Oh, thanks, Coco. But I lasted the whole story without falling, so I think I'll be all right.
Well, I think you should quickly do a riddle anyway, just in case you start falling again.
What's really easy to get into but hard to get out of?
I don't know.
You're supposed to guess.
Oh, is that the riddle?
Yep.
Ah, my bad. What's really easy to get into,
Yep.
but hard to get out of?
Yeah.
Jail?
That's true, I guess. I hope it's not easy for you to get into jail.
Nah, I've been in and out.
Okay, Coco, maybe we'll leave that for after the show talking. What else? What else is easy to get into but hard to get out of, Any ideas?
Situations?
What?
I don't know, like situations.
What kind of situations are you talking about?
I don't know, situations you don't want to be in, and then
Okay.
you can't get out of them.
Okay, yeah, sure. What's that called?
A problem?
A problem. So it's easy to get into problems but hard to get out of problems?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately you're right.
And it just caused me so much trouble when it's annoying.
Trouble! Exactly! It's hard. It's easy to get into trouble but hard to get out of it sometimes, isn't it?
And did you say the answer to the riddle?
Yep.
That shouldn't have been easy for me because somehow I always find myself in trouble.
Yeah, somehow that just doesn't surprise me.
Well, it should, because I'm a really good bird.
Oh, I never said you weren't.
Yeah.
Craft time.
Yeah, craft time.
Hey, welcome back to Craft. Welcome back to Craft, Coco.
Welcome
Gonna
back.
welcome me back to Craft?
Welcome back, Katie.
Thanks. Okay, today we're going to be making a jack-in-a-box. Now, do you remember how St. Mark Ji, his life was just full of things that kept bringing him down, 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 but he kept getting up again, didn't he?
Wow.
So this jack-in-the-box will remind us every time the lid closes, we'll jump back up again. So, what we need is a 3D net for a cube printed out with a dot on one side and a line on the other side, and some scissors, some tape, a ruler, some colouring textures or pencils, a pencil, a toothpick, and some coloured sheets of paper, and some glue. All right, let's start with decorating box first. What shall we do for our design, Coco?
You and me, Katie.
You and me, good idea. And now you.
Wow, it's so pretty.
Yay, Coco and I. That's one square done. What about next? Coco, what next shall we draw? The kids?
Yeah.
Good idea. Let's draw the kids. Oh. Let's do one this way. Lots of happy kids watching our show. Do you think the kids are full of colour, Coco?
Yeah, so good.
That's how I imagine them anyway. And where do you think they are, Coco?
Swimming, Katie.
Swimming. Swimming, apparently. You kids are swimming, so let's draw you in a swimming pool. Here's all the water. All right, what next?
Trees, Katie, trees.
Some trees. All right. We don't need to really decorate the bottom because that's going to be the bottom, obviously. What else makes us happy?
Yeah, reading.
So let's draw
Yeah.
painting. You ever think painting? All right, let's draw a paintbrush. What else? What about having a campfire?
Yeah, camper.
What about riding a bike?
I can't ride a bike, Katie.
There we go. Maybe you like playing sport. Let's draw a ball. And we've got one last box to fill. What's the best thing that makes us happy?
God, Katie, God
Yeah.
makes me happy.
God makes us happy. So let's draw some things that remind us of that. What about a heart?
A cross, Katie.
A cross? Good idea.
A
Star?
star.
You reckon? Okay.
Big star.
Here's a star.
What about a flame?
Flame. Okay. Good idea. All right, that's our decoration done. Next, we're going to cut it out. So let's get our scissors
Wow.
and cut out our net. And fold in the little flaps.
Yeah.
We've got the squares folded. Now we're folding in the flaps. All right, that's all folded together. Now we're going to move on to the Jack-in-the-Box pop-up part. So that's where these coloured sheets of paper come in. So I've got purple and yellow, but you can choose whatever different colours you like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out 2 strips of purple and 2 strips of yellow. 2 strips.
That's amazing.
And I'm just going to cut both sheets at the same time so that they're the same size. There we go. Put the sheets together and snip down your line. Now the second strip. Now with these strips, take them apart. We're going to glue them together to make a really long. So I'm going to put opposite colours with other opposite colours. So I'm going to glue these 2 together. And then this is going to be the spring that's going to make the Jack-in-the-Box pop up. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start with the opposite colours again. Starting at each of the ends, I'm going to make them meet at the corners. Then I'm going to start folding them over. So one folds over the other, and the other folds over that way. And then one folds over that one, and one folds over that way. And you continue this pattern until you come to the end of both of the strips. So keep folding back and forth, back and forth. All right, we've finally come to the end of our spring, and look how cool this looks when I fold it out. Wow, look at that, Coco.
Wow.
A colourful paper spring. All right, now we're just going to secure it at each end with a bit of tape. Grab those two end bits, get some tape. Going to get one bit each end. So we're going to stick our spring onto the bottom of the box. There we go. Now we can construct our box around it. We'll put some glue on these flaps. Now, what's going to happen with this dot here? We need to poke a hole in it, because that's going to end up securing our spring inside. So poke a hole in that with our toothpick. You might need some help to be very careful with it. Don't poke yourself, but just put a poke through the paper. Stick that back up. Okay, and now we need, with this line on the top lid here, we need to do a little snip along that line with the scissors. Okay, now we need something to go at the end of our spring. So that's what we're going to do here, using your spare piece of paper over here. I'm going to draw a picture of me, and you can draw a picture of you, or maybe you'd like to get a little photo of you instead. But it's going to be like you are popping out of the box. Every time something gets you down, you're going to pop out, straight out. Okay, so let's draw my face. Let's see. Now I'm going to glue my face on top. Just check that it fits inside the box. There's me. And we're going to fit inside the box now. Now I'm going to stick me on top of the spring, like this. Or in this case, me on top. Pop you inside the box. In we go. And now here's our thing, our toothpick to secure it. So the toothpick goes inside the little hole we made, in the hole. We don't need these flaps anymore, so we can cut those off. It already wants to pop out. That's how much I want to get out of my box. Getting out of my box and jumping up again afterwards. Inside the hole and then into the little slit we made as well at the top. That's how it looks closed up. And you can open it up by pulling this, pulling it out, and pop, open, there it is. You jumped up every time you get pushed back in your box. There we go, you can jump up every time something happens.
Wow!
Awesome. Good job, Coco. Good job, kids.
Have fun, kids!
Hey kids, if you'd like extra instructions on how to make your very own Jack-in-the-Box, you can find it at swpals.org. And Coco and I would love to see you in your own Jack-in-the-Boxes jumping up every time you get pushed down.
Have fun,
Have fun.
kids! Hey, guess what? I'm being Katie!
Jack-in-a-Box?
Oh, how did you know so quickly?
I guess because I'm just so smart.
Oh, I'm just really good at acting.
Yeah, that must be it. You can stop bobbing up and down now, Coco. I already guessed.
What? I didn't even realize I was still doing it. Silly me!
Oh, Coco, feathers and leaves. You're going coconuts.
I feel coconuts.
Come on, let's get you calmed down. See you later, kids.
See ya. Bye, kiddos. See you next time. Don't look at me. Look at St. Mark G.
come and play.
Play with Katie and Coco.
That's the way.
Get ready, let's go.
Flying through the air with Coco.
Telling stories with Katie.
You and I together, meeting my friends. Friends that help us every day.
Katie and Coco.
That help us every day.
Katie and Coco. Play and sing.
Pray and bring you and I, we do our thing. It's Katie and Coco.
You can't always.
This is the death
Remarkably empty.
Turn back towards God. Rise up.